Hey guys, welcome to the Tee-Off's interview with Chris Clemons, who is a professional disc golfer sponsored by Dynamic Discs. I do apologize, in about the middle of our interview, the recording just cuts off. I was on dad duties and my son Freddie cracked it and I had to pop him down for a nap. So that's why you'll notice a bit of a jump in the recording. For context, I've just asked Chris about his mental game of disc golf, and he's answering that question. I hope you enjoyed the interview. Otherwise, I had a really good chat with Chris, and he's a super awesome guy. Cheers. So, Chris, welcome to the Tee-Off.
How's it going?
Excellent, man. Thank you so much for joining us. Super cool. We've done a fair bit of recording in the past, but we've just sort of COVID, obviously. You think like a Tee-Off podcast or a podcast would do really well in COVID, but it kind of just really affected us, and we didn't get too much done. So we've just started getting back into it, and super happy to have you a part of the show.
Nice, yeah. I'm excited.
Yeah. So, have you done many podcasts before?
Yeah, I've done a handful, and I always enjoy it. I'm a talker, so
Yeah.
it's nice.
Unreal, man. So first off, I'd just love if you could sort of introduce yourself and tell us a little bit about you and and disc golf, and yeah, that'd be great.
Yeah, my name's Chris Clemons. I'm sponsored by Dynamic Discs. I've been touring since 2018, so now I'm kind of, I guess you can consider it a veteran on the tour, which is crazy to think about. I'm left-handed, so I'm a weirdo, uh, and I throw a lot of forehands. So yeah,
Yeah.
kind of got an interesting game.
Now I'm super excited to talk a little bit about that later on, but yeah, we've definitely seen the Australian crew, seen you on a few YouTube channels, which is really cool, man. And yeah, so how did you get into disc golf?
Um, well, I got into disc golf probably like a lot of people get into it. My buddies invited me. I'd never heard of it.
Yeah.
Um, I had never really thrown a disc or a frisbee before, and so it was in like high school, and I was terrible when I first started. Absolutely awful. And I played for a couple of years, just kind of like messing around and not, caring too much. And then about like 2011, I started to actually like practice, do field work, and play tournaments and stuff like that.
Yeah, unreal. Yeah, I was a bit the same. A couple of guys from school tried to get us into it, and it stuck with me. But yeah, that's awesome, man. Did you play any other sports like before that or during?
I did. I played baseball pretty much my entire life. And then I picked up basketball kind of when I was maybe like 11, 12, or I started like playing, in school. And I played both of those throughout high school. And then I played baseball it was like a semi-professional wood bat league when I
Cool.
was in college. And I played disc golf at that time, but it was when I got done with playing baseball.
Yeah.
Um, Playing sports your entire life, like it's been easy for me to just like convert, like from baseball to disc golf. Now I'm gonna practice that,
Yeah.
and then I started to get better and kind of rolled with it.
That's cool. I was wondering if there was a bit of a baseball background. That does explain a couple of things with that wicked forehand you've got. That's really cool.
Yeah.
Um,
Yep.
yeah, cool. So how long you would, just before we started recording, we were having a little chat, and you said that you were on Team Latitude for a little bit. But so how long have you been with DD then? Made that switch?
Well, my first year touring. So, um, the 2018 season onward, I've been with DD. Um, and when I got sponsored by Latitude, I think that was 2014, I believe. And Dave Felberg was on Latitude at the time, and he
Yeah.
had kind of like an open, casting call.
Mm-hmm.
Latitude didn't have a team in the US, and so they did like an open thing. And so I like wrote a letter, and I was like, I want to be the best left-handed player in the world. And I said that because I knew Dave was like good friends with Devin Owens, and Devin
Yeah.
was on Latitude at the time.
Yeah.
And so I was like, that's a goal of mine. I looked up to him. And so it was cool. And I got a letter back, and I was like, oh my God, I was freaking out. So it's been cool.
Yeah, that's awesome. Yeah, it's how I got on Latitude as well. Dave Felberg, met him at the Aussie Open. Yeah, he was on a big recruitment. It was really cool.
Yeah.
Yeah, so you and Hannah, you're living in Emporia just for the off season at the moment. Is that correct?
Yes, yes. Just for the off season, we found a place. It's actually at Jones Park, which
Oh,
is
cool.
they had Jones Gold. Yeah, and I'm looking at a basket right now on my window.
Oh,
So yeah, it's super nice to be able to uh, walk outside and play.
yeah,
One of the best courses in the world, and they're kind of revamping
yeah,
the course for Worlds, and
yeah.
so I'm gonna get some early practice on that, which will be
Ooh,
nice.
that's exciting. Um, yeah, I've watched plenty of videos with Jones Gold. It looks challenging, very challenging, but super fun.
Yes,
Yeah.
yes.
Are they making some? Uh, how would you describe the changes they're making?
Well, they're starting to put in like concrete tee pads, and I haven't really seen a lot of the course, but from what I have seen, it looks super duper hard.
Hmm.
Um, I know that the Jones Gold that we played last year during the Dynamic Discs Open was kind of made like maybe 10 years ago.
Hmm.
And so it had a lot of like 600 to 800 foot par fours, which are fairly open.
Yeah.
And I think 10 years ago, that was like, legit par fours, but anymore, like people throw
No.
just so far that you got to make it harder and better. And so I think Eric McCabe, like has done a great job, and I'm excited to play it and kind of get my butt whooped
Yeah.
the first couple times practicing it.
Yeah. So would you describe, like, as you sort of just mentioned, that the 600 to 800 feet is just, that's some people's first drive these days. Over the last like few years of you actually properly touring, how have you found like the change in the higher quality of play, and like have you found that courses are maybe just slowly catching up, or do you think that players are being challenged? Um,
Um, yeah, I do think there are courses that kind of stand the test of time,
mhm.
like a Maple Hill.
Yep.
It's got a lot of par threes, but they're like super hard.
Mm.
They're really easy to bogey, but some courses are kind of getting left behind, because they're just not hard enough. But Nate Heinold with Northwoods Black,
Mm.
7 over was like 1,000 rated or ten
Yeah.
twenty rated.
Crazy.
Uh, Making courses like that, he's staying ahead of us.
Yeah.
So we're going to catch up to that. But
Mm.
I think that might be kind of the future. At first, it's really, really hard.
Yeah.
But I think we have to start building courses like that. Par is like really, really good. And that's hard to do.
Yeah. We're actually, so the last 12 months I'm running the Australian Champs at the moment, and we've had to postpone it for a couple of years because of COVID, but we've been designing a course in that time for the Champs. And we've got our part. It's nothing. It doesn't really relate to what we've just spoken about. But our par sort of sitting at that 980 sort of
Hmm.
level, which for Australian, standard, like we've
It's
got a
good.
lot of new players, so it's pretty tough. But yeah, to have like a 7 over as 1,000 rated is just sounds brutal. Sounds exciting. I'd love to play it, but yeah, it's
It
really cool.
it is. Yeah, it takes kind of like a different mindset, because you've probably played for as long as I have, and usually most courses you play, especially before you're touring B and C tiers, like you're trying to birdie everything.
Yeah,
It's like a birdie fest.
yeah,
It's like who can get the most.
yeah,
And I feel like disc golf is starting to turn towards, par is really, really good. And that's fun. I think that that's fun. It takes a lot more strategy to play that way.
Yeah, I agree. That's how I describe this course as well. Like a birdie's, you can't birdie everything, or a birdie's amazing, but like it's very easy to bogey, and yeah, then you really
Hmm.
have to um, really settle and make up your mind and decision make on the tour, or on the course, which isn't easy all the time. Um,
Right.
yeah. So Emporia, you'd be pretty close to the new DD warehouse then, yeah.
Yes.
Yeah, that
Yes.
is that as cool as it looks?
Yeah, it's amazing. I was in there maybe 3 or 4 times last week. It's
Yep.
just kind of fun. I made a post on Instagram when I was selling discs, and so I would just go in and bring my box of discs and just like pack in the warehouse because it is so cool and
Yeah,
being
yeah,
around everybody, seeing everybody, and like it's super duper nice. And they're making improvements, every day.
yeah. That's really exciting. So if you so DD, I suppose, like I know Latitude, with all the conversations I've had with them, they got absolutely smashed through COVID, and it's not new. Sorry, there you go. Sorry, it's not new
You're
that
good.
everyone sort of discs were just running off the shelves. Like, did DD sort of find that as well? And yeah, are they
Yeah.
looking to? I suppose most of the money they've made, they've probably been able to do all these big improvements and um, do a bit more than what they thought a bit quicker. Would you say?
Yeah, yeah. They got the old warehouse. I don't even remember when they bought it, 7 or 8 years ago, maybe, and then quickly outgrew it. And even in this one, like, they're pretty packed, and
Oh,
they're
really?
already looking at like expanding even more.
Oh, wow.
Um, and yeah, and some days, like when I talk with Rusko and we're walking around in there, and he's just like, things literally get dropped off here and then they are immediately shipped out.
Wow.
Like they're just, yeah, it's crazy, disc golf in general since the COVID boom. And I'm hoping that, it just doesn't like die. Of course,
Mm,
I don't think it will. I think it's caught on, but it's got to slow down at some point. But I
mm.
think that the strides that we've made have been amazing, and it will continue to grow.
Pretty bizarre that a global pandemic has actually helped us become bigger, because it's the
Hmm.
same in Australia. Um, we definitely found a lot of the ultimate players in Australia who couldn't obviously compete or play have actually come over and tried disc golf because they could,
Yep. Yeah.
which has been pretty awesome. I don't know if it's quite the same in the US, but a lot of them kind of have reported they sort of thought disc golf was a little bit of a joke. But since they've come in and started playing, they've actually thought, oh, well, this is pretty tricky, and there's a lot of people who are a lot better at me at this, so it's kind of
Right.
sparked a bit of that competitiveness, and a few of them are hung around actually, which is really cool. Um,
Yeah. Yeah. They're Ella Hansen, who is a super good player in the women's field.
yeah,
Stacey Ronsley. They came over from Ultimate within the last year. So I think we're going to see more and more of that stuff.
yeah. So actually, I saw a video of Ella playing Ultimate just recently, and I was like, "Oh, I didn't
Mhm.
actually know she came from Ultimate. I thought she was just a good disc golfer." So
Yeah.
that's cool.
Hmm.
Um, cool, man. So I've got a couple more questions for you, but I wanted to talk about the 21 season. So I mean, you had um, some really awesome placements this year, and I think the best placement was maybe the seventh at Waco. Um,
Sounds right.
yeah, but I thought you came 25th at Worlds and then ninth in the Pro Tour finals. Um, they were the ones that really stood out for me. I think that you played very, very, very solid. Would you consider them sort of like your better achievements for the year, or was there something else you were kind of focusing on that you're a bit more proud of and happy with?
Um, like looking back on the entire season, playing well at like Des Moines and Waco, those are courses that, really set up well for me. But the last, I think, 2 seasons previous to this one, I was in the Pro Tour finals, and each year I had been coming off pretty good finishes at USDGC, so I was like a little like, uh, the Pro Tour finals like don't matter that much, especially
Yeah.
2 years ago,
Yeah.
uh, when I was really close to winning USDGC, and so like, and I didn't know how much it would mean. I didn't know it would be on ESPN, didn't know any of that,
Mm.
and so coming into it this year, especially having a rough start at USDGC and kind of climbing up the leaderboards, but um, I definitely made it, you know, I put a lot of emphasis on doing well there, because it's a course that I felt like I could do well.
Mm.
Um, and Nathan Queen won. Like,
Yeah.
anybody can win on a course like that. And so, yeah, there was more emphasis on it. The bigger tournaments, there definitely is more emphasis to do well. And I feel like I show up when they're like big majors and stuff like that.
Yeah. Is that so? Like Hornets, obviously, it's a very challenging with distance, but it's the woods as well. Um,
Hmm.
do you kind of prefer that kind of course where it is kind of like anyone's game? It seems like some of the really open courses, there's an elite sort of player that can really attack those courses and can kind of use that to their advantage. But when they get in the woods, it's anyone's game. Do you prefer that kind of course or?
I do. I think like growing up in the Midwest, I learned how to kind of play park golf. So it'd be kind of like a Jones East, Jones West, scattered trees, but there's lines to hit, not too tight because there's not really woods around where I grew up, like
Yeah.
courses made in the woods. And so I've had to learn how to play them. But woods is a great equalizer.
Mm.
It is fun to play on some ball golf courses, but playing something like the Portland Open, I mean, there's like a 1,500-foot par five that's uphill. Like
Yeah.
that's just not fun to play. That doesn't test many skills at all,
Yeah.
in my opinion. And so, yes, the elite throwers, if you have 5 ball golf courses and we play those and 5 woods courses, like the same guys are going to be the top 10 at those ball golf courses, but at the woods courses, who knows?
Yeah.
Like it could be some person we've never heard of in the
Yeah.
top 3.
No, I think I definitely agree. When we're watching over here, it's far more exciting to see new faces, new players, and have them come in and I much prefer watching people hit lines and instead of the big crazy 600 feet booms just down an open field.
Right,
100%.
right. And I think the best courses kind of have both.
Yeah.
They have kind of everything, and that is hard to do. But there are courses out there that are kind of like that, like a Milo McIver.
Yeah.
There's some open big shots, but there's some tight shots, and so
Yeah.
those courses, I think all the players on the tour love to play.
Yeah. I was lucky enough to play Milo a couple of years ago, and hands down, that's one of my favorite courses ever.
Yeah,
Yeah.
it's amazing.
Do you have like a favorite tournament or a location sort of onto it that you always love to play?
Um, I I really like USDGC. I've historically done well there. So, and the family I stay with is on Anthony Anselmo. He's on Dynamic Discs. He's a 15-year-old kid,
Yep.
and I've stayed with him and his family for the last 3 years, and so that's always like a really good vibes.
Yeah.
I enjoy Maple Hill.
Yep.
That's a lot of fun.
Mhm.
It's just it's those tournaments where like we stay with people who I really love and they're my family, but also like the course is amazing and and there's just a different ambiance when you
Yeah.
go to USDGC or Maple Hill. It's like a different feel.
Yeah. Yeah. I've also I got to compete in USDGC 2017. It was when Nate Sexton won his
Hmm.
and 100% agree. It just has a different. That was on a
Yeah,
different level for sure.
right.
Like
It's
I
like an
noticed it, but
electric feel or something. Yeah.
just everyone's excited. Like it doesn't matter who
Hmm.
you are, everyone's excited. So yeah, super cool. Um, so yeah, what's your plan for the off season at the moment? Like, obviously you can. It's pretty awesome. You've got a disc golf course right outside your door, so you can train a bit. But Are you doing other things as well with your training?
Yeah, so usually right after the season, November, December, I kind of take it easy and let my body kind of rest from throwing. I will work out, get in the gym, try to get stronger. But throwing over the entire season, it can wear on your body. So I kind of force myself to take some time off.
Yeah.
But it's the last couple of off seasons, I've made trips to Emporia, and I'll
Yeah.
spend a couple days, maybe a week, and then I'm like, man, I wish I could like be there all the time
Yeah. Yeah.
because there's the media teams here, the warehouses here. There's just so many opportunities, and especially now, people are constantly wanting anything you can give them
Yeah.
with disc golf, videos, Instagram, whatever it is. And so being here and having that opportunity to do it every day is really nice. And so just a lot of working out, a lot of, I've been playing a little more than I have in the past off seasons because it's been so nice. It's like 70 degrees today,
Yeah. Perfect.
but super windy. But yeah, kind of getting ready for Christmas, spending some time with family and stuff. But
Yeah.
um, I definitely have plans with the media team, Danny Lindahl, Anthony Van Den Heuvel, to do podcasts, YouTube videos, stuff like that.
Yeah. No, they do. I really enjoy the DD um, media crew. They do a really good job on the stuff that they bring out. So that's exciting. You'll be able to be a part of that too.
Yes, yes, mental side of golf, and so I've been able to kind of taken what I've learned from that and translate it to disc golf, and so that's kind of one of the stronger parts of my game. There's a lot of people if they're having a bad round, sometimes they're like, oh, I don't care, and just start chucking.
Yeah.
Just start going for everything, start doing everything, and for me, I try to make my bad rounds not so bad.
Yeah.
And but it comes down to a lot of just being happy in general, being happy in your life, and
Mm.
kind of having a life that you really like and enjoy, and surrounding yourself with people you really enjoy.
Hmm. Nice, man. Is there on top of that? Is there a bit of a group that you obviously that you gravitate to on tour, like of pros and stuff, and if so, like who are they?
Yeah. So for the first couple years touring, I was with the Jordan Castro.
Mm-hmm.
He had toured, for a couple months here and there before I ever did. So it was nice to be able to go out with him, and he kind of showed me the ropes. He
Mm.
had a lot of places where, we could stay. And so I met a lot of people through him. This year, I toured more with Eric Oakley,
Mm.
which was nice, being on the same team. Eric, he's definitely different than touring with Jordan, on long drives. If it's a 10-hour drive,
Mm.
sometimes me and Jordan would talk like very little and
Yeah.
kind of do our own thing and stuff like that. But with Eric, it's constant talking. Uh,
Yeah.
and
I
so
can imagine.
Eric's, yeah, it's different, but I enjoyed it. We stayed with like Calvin Heimberg quite a bit, with Eagle and Simon quite a bit.
Yeah. Awesome.
So those would be the guys, I hang out with like Castro, Casey White, Terry Roethlisberger. So
Mm.
there's definitely like a group of guys I enjoy, but I'm pretty like easygoing and personable, so I kind of get along with almost anybody.
Yeah. Awesome. So what's the best and worst thing about being a touring pro?
Well, I'd say the best thing would probably be the freedom to kind of do what you want when you want to do it.
Mm.
That's really nice. The worst part would probably be, especially my first year, kind of the unknowns of touring and the unknowns of like financial
Mm.
things, stuff like that. If you live a normal life,
Mm.
you go to work and you work, when you're getting paid, how much you're going to be getting paid, and you can kind of set up, a life, and you have things to pay for, but you're going to have money for it.
Mm.
And as a disc golfer, especially when you're kind of starting out, there's no sure thing. And
Mm.
so, it's heavily based on how you play and how you perform. And so that would probably be one of the tougher things about it.
Yeah. Is there anything like disc golf related, like outside of competition play, that you do or enjoy doing? Something maybe like course design or clinics or creating media, that type of thing. Yeah.
Yeah, yeah, I do enjoy creating media. I remember, I think it was when kind of COVID hit, so 2020, um, when we got sent home for a couple months, and I started doing a lot of YouTube stuff. I really did enjoy it, but it was really hard to like do all the editing myself, and I'd never
Mm.
done anything before. So I definitely have learned how to now, but it is very time consuming. And
Yeah.
so it would be way better. Like the Oakleys, Eric Hill records stuff for Tina and then just send her all the stuff. And she edits it or they have somebody that
Mm.
edits it. So making videos is super fun. I love doing like podcasts.
Mhm.
Like I'm on Reddit. I like doing Ask Me Anythings. I like to talk to people because I was the same, when I started, I looked up to Nico LaCastro and Will
Mm.
Schusterick, and I wanted to know everything about them and how they got better. And so I want to kind of be able to help, the next crop or that like local pros 960, 970, like get to the next level and learn how to like tour and stuff. So I do enjoy doing things like this, and answering questions for people.
Yeah. Awesome. Um, it's one interesting thing or a bit of feedback that came across when a lot of the ultimate players started playing disc golf. We got so I'm probably at the moment one of like the more experienced crew in Australia in disc golf. Been playing for about 10 years, um, and I got a few questions of like, well, in ultimate they've got coaches because they're a team and
Hmm.
it's done all the time, but in disc golf there's not really that at all, um, especially in Australia. And I've got a few questions like, well, would you coach me? Would you coach this person? Would you, that
Right.
type of thing. I think I've noticed Paul Ulibar has just like released his big coaching one-on-one thing, and I've
Hmm.
seen a lot of good feedback. Is that something? Would you kind of what you're saying there is like you've sort of been mentored sort of by people, and you're keen to mentor others, but would you be interested more in that like coaching and maybe putting it out there to the public, or is it more just like, oh, I know this guy, he's a local, he's good, and I'll just sort of take him under my wing, that type of thing?
Um, yeah, that's a great question. And there isn't, like I said, uh, being young and reading golf magazines, there's like so much stuff you can learn. And with disc golf, how I learned, I just watched YouTube videos and
Yeah.
tried to emulate how certain players threw. Um, and now you're starting to see a lot more of like technique stuff, from like Danny Lindahl and Didi does that
Mm.
stuff all the time. But people, the more people that get into disc golf, there is a lot more um, people with money who are actually like willing to pay and like travel and come and be coached and want like some one-on-one. And so that is something I'm actually working on this off season with, I think, the retail store here in Emporia is doing
Hmm.
some one-on-one clinics, some one-on-one training sessions, stuff like that. I have done that in the past.
Mm-hmm.
Um, and sometimes it's like overwhelming to me because
Yeah.
I'm like, man, I don't know what I'm doing. I don't know. What if this person, like, what if they're unhelpable? But
Mm.
anytime I've ever done it, we like talk for a couple minutes and then they like throw, they'll kind of tell me like, I want to work on getting more distance or being more accurate. And they
Yeah.
throw a couple times and then I'm like, okay, I know exactly what's wrong. And then we
Yeah.
kind of like find a fix for it. And so, um, I do enjoy doing that. Anytime we do clinics on the road, I always want to be a part of them.
Mm.
And that's the biggest fear for a lot of players who we ask to do clinics with us. They're like, I'm scared, and I'm like, you're a professional. Like,
Mm.
you could say anything, and people are probably gonna believe it.
Yeah.
Like it's true
Yeah.
though. So like, but if we're professionals, like the things that we know and we think every day, like we kind of take for granted,
Yeah.
and there's a lot of people who like don't know that stuff that we don't even think about anymore.
Yeah.
And so I think it's like super fun, and I definitely want to get into that for sure.
Yeah. Very cool. Um. So another one that came in. I'm pretty sure I know the answer about this, but people were basically saying they want some assurances from you, Chris, that the verdict won't stop being in production. Can you
Good,
make those
good.
assurances?
I can. I can. Each year we do have like the ability to kind of choose what we want, as players. Like Paige Shu
Hmm.
has, I think she had the judge at one point, and then she kind of switched to the sergeant and stuff like that.
Hmm.
Um, I think the verdict is, I love it.
Hmm.
And I want some more like version twos of 2020, like the Lucid X Glimmer ones that were like flat.
Hmm.
You can forehand them. They're like super good.
Yep.
And that's what people, anytime a new verdict comes out, people always message me, is it flat? Is it flat?
Yeah. Yeah. Yeah.
And that's what people, yeah.
Yeah.
And so, yes, the verdict will be staying for sure.
Awesome. Well, that was the follow up question as well. Is there going to be some more custom Chris Clemons stamps coming in 22? Some more, but
Yeah.
yes, definitely. And what is that your favorite run of Verdict as well? That was another question. Um,
Yeah, I'd say the version two of the first year, so 2020,
yeah,
the Lucid X Glimmers
yeah,
were pretty prime. I remember the version ones, it was like that, the regular Lucid X plastic, and they came out really flat. But I remember throwing them, I was like, oh no, these aren't as stable as I want, you
yeah,
know. But the version twos were like absolutely perfect.
yeah. I've got one of them in my bag actually. It's stayed in there
Yep.
for a while. It's awesome disc. Yeah.
Yeah.
Um, Next question. Any advice on how to increase power in someone's forehand? Because you've got a mean
Um,
forehand on you.
Yeah, that's a question I get an awful
Yeah.
lot. And I think
Apart from
honestly,
playing
like,
baseball for 10 years,
yeah,
Yeah.
that definitely helps. It's a pretty natural motion, but it's weird because I first played in 2005 or six with my friends, and I played all the way up until 2011 or 12. Um, and I think in 2012 or I started to develop a forehand. So I didn't throw
Hmm.
forehands for like 5 or 6 years.
Wow.
I threw a lot of overhand shots,
Okay.
like thumbers.
Yep.
Um, and then, but now I can't really throw a thumber
Oh
anymore.
no.
It feels so awkward, and I'm like, that'll ruin my arm.
Yeah, my shoulder hurts just thinking about it. Yeah, 100%.
Yes.
Yeah.
And so, something that I did early on, I kind of um, did kind of what they suggest for a backhand is learning how to throw putters, straight mids, flip your stuff, like learning how to throw that clean and far.
Mm.
And then once I started to learn that, I remember throwing like trespasses back in like 2014, 2015, and I started like throwing them as far as my backhands, like
Mm.
400 feet. And I was like, what is going on? I was like, how can I throw these so far?
Mm.
And then I progressively got like better and better. But I think like incorporating your lower body is like super big. A lot of
Mm.
people don't, and that's why they roll stuff over, and learning how to throw, not as overstable discs. That's you see a lot of people throwing Firebirds or stilettos, just really overstable, and they just torque over on them because it is a
Yeah.
consistent flight. But you're not going to throw a 400-foot forehand with something that overstable.
Yeah. One of the ugliest throws in disc golf, I reckon. Just that meat hook, force it on the angle. Yeah.
Yep,
Yeah.
it is, and it's so like there are a lot of people that I've played with, and that's kind of their only forehand shot that they have, and I'm
Mm.
like, what if you have to go the complete opposite way? What are you gonna
Mm.
do? It's so like it is easy to throw, and it's like you can repeat it over and over, but it's just like you're putting yourself in a hole.
Mm.
You gotta learn how to throw different shot shapes.
Yeah, for sure. Ah, that's cool. And last question. So 2022. How's it look for you? Is there stuff that you're going to try and focus on or work on differently from 21, or is it just sort of hit as much as you can and just go hard? Or what's it
I
looking like?
think so. In 2021, I met my girlfriend now, Hannah, and
Mm.
so there would be some times like if we had off weekends, stuff like that, I would go and like go to Washington, Spokane, and like see her for a little bit. Um, but this year, Hannah's going to be traveling with me, and
Awesome.
Yeah, she's going to tour as well. And so we want to, along with some other people we're working with, we're going to try to do a lot of clinics, a lot of, we're going to be vending, discs and stuff like that at a lot of places. And I'm definitely going to be hitting more smaller tournaments in between the big ones this year,
Yep.
more than I have in the last couple years. Um, I think I've played like one or two B tiers in the last like 3 years.
Yeah, right. Yeah, wow.
It's insane,
Yeah,
you
that's
know.
awesome.
Yeah, it's
Yeah,
it's great. It's
yeah,
crazy, and I was like, and that's all that I used to play.
yeah.
And so, but now I just get to get beat up by Paul Macbeth every weekend. It's like I want to go play a B tier so I can feel like Paul Macbeth every once in a while. But yeah, definitely play. I think I played 24, 25 tournaments this year.
mm,
And I think next year it'll be closer to like 30 or 35.
yeah,
So
cool.
definitely more grindy this next year, getting Hannah a lot more experience and stuff like that.
Yeah. So did Hannah play disc golf before you guys met then?
Yes,
Yep.
she's been playing for like 7 years.
Oh, awesome.
Um, yeah, so she's been playing a while, and that's kind of how I met her was through disc golf.
Oh,
And
very
then
cool.
the I think it was like the week after we met, she wanted me to caddy for her at
Ooh.
this round, and she went and shot like 970 at this course, and I was just like, oh my God, like I'm in love. Like
Yeah.
this is insane. Like she just crushed it.
Yeah.
And just like watching her throw and like her style, I was just like she could easily make it on the tour.
Yeah.
Just getting more experience, and learning, how to play on bigger courses and stuff like that. Like so
Yeah.
I'm super excited for it.
Oh well, I like that as well. If there's any disc golf females out there watching this, if you got a little crush on a boy, just ask him to come caddy. Hey.
Exactly.
Yeah.
That's what I did. She actually caddied for me first in Portland.
Yeah. Yeah.
Uh, Yeah, and I think it was my second round. The first round I shot pretty good.
Mm.
In the second round, when she caddied for me, I did absolutely terrible, but it was one of the most fun rounds I've ever played in my life. So,
Yeah, that's awesome. I think my wife's caddied for me once and only once. I think I can't remember how I played, but yeah.
yeah, it's tough, and like
Mm.
I do get a lot of people asking to caddy for me, and usually I only have like people I really know
Yeah.
caddy for me, because a lot of people know that like I like to talk out loud when I'm
Mm.
playing, and I'm usually not asking for input.
Yeah.
And even if I do, like I probably already know what I'm gonna do.
Hmm.
I just kind of like talk through my shots, and so I like playing and having people caddy for me that I know. But
Mm.
I did have a kid on at USDGC on like hole two. He was like, "Hey man, can I caddy for you?" And I was like,
Oh,
"I can't say
you
no." And I
can't
was
say
like,
no to
"Sure."
that.
Yeah,
Yeah.
and he was like he was super awesome, and he was like on hole five, he was like shaking. He's like, "I can't believe I'm doing this."
Oh
And it's like,
man.
but that's a cool thing, and it makes me feel good, and it takes some pressure off. It's like, dude, we're just throwing frisbees.
Yeah. Yeah. What a great moment, actually. That's really cool.
Yeah,
That's probably a
yeah,
bit of a disc golf bucket list there, like getting asked by a kid to caddy. That's
right. Oh, for sure,
yeah, yeah.
for sure.
Oh, that's awesome, Chris. Oh man, thank you so much for coming on and doing this. And I can't tell you how much I appreciate it. And you're definitely someone that I've been watching for a while, especially because you're on Team Trilogy as well. But it's been great to see you really stepping up and performing and playing on tour. And everyone loves seeing a lefty on the card for sure too. And
Right,
how you attack the course and yeah, it's really cool, man. I'm really excited to see what 2022 brings for you. And Hannah
for
as
sure.
well, which is super exciting. Yeah,
Yeah, it'll
yeah,
be fun. Disc golf is at a really good place right now, and I think it's just going to grow even more. But yeah, I'm appreciative of you inviting me to be on here. It's
yeah.
super duper fun. I love doing it. I've never done a podcast with an Australian podcast, which is
Yeah.
like super cool. And I've never been to Australia. I want to go.
Oh man,
Um,
please come. We're looking at a few things in the future. Obviously, COVID's really stuffed things up, but
right.
I'm sure that there will be some big tournaments coming up in the years that yeah, we'd love to get you out to. I reckon you'd love
Yeah,
Australia too. It's a lot of fun.
that'd be super cool. I love hot weather, so I'm down.
Oh yeah. Well, there's plenty of that over the summer.
Yes,
Yeah.
awesome.
Yeah, cool, man. Well, all the best for next year. Thank you again. And maybe we can get you back next year and sort of check in again and see how you're going. But yeah,
Yeah, for
appreciate
sure. I
everything.
love it. Thank you.
Awesome. No worries.